Welcome to a new episode of the PCOS Fertility Health Podcast. You are in for a real treat today because today's episode is going to be more like a workshop. You are going to get a deep dive into the PCOS fertility checklist I have. We're going to talk about some of the most important components of that checklist and how it can improve your fertility with PCOS. Hi, I am your host here, Dr. Angela Potter. I am the creator of the PCOS Fertility Protocol, and I work with women across the country to help them improve their chances of getting pregnant with PCOS. And you are here because you have PCOS and you are struggling to get pregnant, and you want to know action steps that you can be taking in order to get the best chance that you can at getting pregnant with PCOS. And I really admire that in you because just showing up and listening or watching to this podcast is going to flood your brain with positive steps forward to help improve your fertility. You could be doing anything else right now. You could be listening to one of the millions of other podcast episodes that are out there, but no, you have just decided to listen to this one, which is going to help you improve your chances of getting pregnant. And I want to acknowledge that in you for taking that step. I think that is really cool, and I really admire your tenacity and your quest to find hope and to find answers. And you are in exactly the right place today. Even if you have been trying to get pregnant for years and your doctor has told you that there's no hope because they have run some labs for you and they said everything looks fine. Even if you have tried rounds of letrozole and with timed intercourse and IUIs and nothing has worked. Even if you are here and you're like, I've tried things and my period is still irregular. You are in exactly the right place because that kind of a story is exactly my sweet spot in the fertility world. Okay, I help women uncover what is keeping them from having regular periods. What are these missing links that are in your fertility journey? Because they're there. And we've got to uncover them. So even if you have that journey of years of trying to get pregnant, you are in exactly the right place today. And this is going to be a really important podcast episode for you. Again, it's going to be more like a workshop. So I have with me here, printed out, my PCOS fertility checklist. If you're watching here on Spotify or through YouTube, you can see it here, holding it in my hands. And if you are listening with us, then you can hear the papers rustling, right? Okay, I've got it here because it's a few pages long. And so this is a 10-step checklist to make sure that you have these important criteria completed, looked at, and evaluated with your fertility health to help you have the best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. So your first step in understanding clarity for your PCOS fertility journey is this checklist. So I want you to hit pause if you do not have a copy of this checklist yet. I want you to hop on over to drangelapotter.com/checklist. I have also included that link right on the first line just below in the notes, the show notes this week. So I want you just to hit pause real quick, go over, you're going to put in your name and email, and then it's going to be right over in your email. I want you to click on that email, open it, and bring the checklist up, and you can just have it here on your computer or on your phone and follow along with me. And even if you're in your car or you're at the gym, just remember to bookmark this episode so that when you are back at home or you're back at your computer, you can just get access to this checklist, and then you can listen to this episode again while you're following through with the checklist. But even if you are at the gym or you're driving in your car, listening to this today is going to still give you some really concrete information on how to move forward with your fertility, because I'm going to talk through three of the steps, the top three steps that I've included in this checklist, talk about why they're so important and why, if you don't have that information yet, why that's still keeping you from getting pregnant. And before we dive into the top three items on this checklist, I want to talk through with you the benefits of just having a checklist like this. Here's the thing. So many women, I'm guessing yourself included because you've chosen to show up here today, is getting pushed forward on this fertility treatment plan that is just a one-size-fits-all approach. And it doesn't matter if you have PCOS or something else, you still get these same treatment plans moving forward to help improve your fertility. And you're finding that it's not working. And that leaves you feeling even more fed up, broken, lost when you're trying these fertility treatments and they aren't working and you're not seeing results. And so you need a different approach, because doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, is crazy. You've got to take that next step to look at your fertility from a different approach. You've got to understand that your body is this beautiful, holistic being, and all your systems are talking to each other. Okay, fertility is not just about your lady parts. You've got to understand how these other systems are working in the body that are keeping you from getting pregnant. And so this checklist focuses on the important aspects that are specific to PCOS that you need to have in place, and these different views of the body, how to get that testing done, how to understand if that actually is impacting your fertility. And this can give you a chance to read through this checklist and then consider the fertility treatments that you're getting so far and the conversations that you've had with your current fertility doctor, and compare those and see if you are getting all of this information covered in your fertility plans. Because if not, if you have just one thing missing from this checklist, then you still have a missing piece in your fertility plan. And you do not want to leave that unanswered. So that's why this is so important for you to have this list with you. This is concrete information that you will have in your hand, that you can sit down and talk with your husband about, that you can bring to your doctor's appointment and say, hey, can we talk about these things? And if your doctor is not open to having those conversations, or you don't have a doctor, then you know what to look for when you're looking for a new doctor. Okay, so let's dive into item number one on the checklist. And that is, I know which of the three PCOS diagnosis criteria that make up my diagnosis. Let's talk about this. So with PCOS, in order to be diagnosed with PCOS, there's three different pieces of criteria. You need to fall into two out of those three in order to be diagnosed. Those three criteria are: one, ovulation issues; two, high androgen hormones like testosterone; and three, having cysts on the ovaries. Now, you could very well have all three, but the importance of understanding your PCOS diagnosis is that you cannot get anywhere if you don't know where you're starting from. If you do not have that clarity on which of the diagnosis criteria that make up your own PCOS, then how can you get where you're going? If you are trying to open a map and get to a coffee shop to meet your friend, one that you've never been to, and you're in a new town and you've got the address of the coffee shop, what is the single most important piece of information that you need in order to get the map to get to that coffee shop? You need to know where you're starting from. You need to at least road signs or some markers that somebody can help you figure out where you are, so that you can then figure out where you're going. So you're here. We know that you are wanting to get pregnant. That is so clear. We know that direction. We have got to take this time to get that foundation, understand where you are starting from. Because PCOS does not fit into that one size fits all approach. And that is because PCOS is a syndrome. It is made up of these 3 different symptoms to create PCOS. But not everybody has the same 3 pieces. Not everyone has the same 2 pieces. And if you have cysts on your ovaries, but you don't have elevated androgens, and your friend has elevated androgens and no cysts on her ovaries, why should we expect that the same fertility plan should work for both of you? We shouldn't. PCOS needs an individualized plan, and this is the foundation of that. Understanding that your diagnosis is unique to your body, and it also helps your doctor. It helps me when I'm working with my patients to understand what's going on in your body and how we need to move forward with a fertility plan that helps correct what's going on in the body. And you might be surprised to hear how important this is. Lots of women who come to talk to me haven't been told what it is that makes up their PCOS diagnosis. Their doctor just threw out that diagnosis, gave them 15 minutes, and they walked out the door with a pamphlet and a prescription. And they don't know what it is that's actually happening in the body that's making up their PCOS diagnosis. And if that's you as well, then this is a really foundational set of information to figure out. You can call your doctor's office. You can ask them for that information. Maybe you have an upcoming appointment with them. Well, you can ask them when you go see them. And if you don't have a doctor, if you're not currently working with one, then it's time to make a step to go find somebody who's going to help you get that real clarity on your PCOS diagnosis. Checklist number 2. I track my cycles and know if my cycles are regular or irregular. Now, one thing I forgot to mention at the beginning of this is that these 3 pieces of information at the top of this checklist are the 3 pieces of information that I am tracking with everyone who is working with me for PCOS. I have got this information for those who are working with me one-on-one. I get that up every single time that we meet. And I'm updating that information. I am always checking in about cycle length. I've got all of this information in front of me because that's really important for me. I can't do my job as a doctor to help you enhance your fertility if I don't have this pivotal information in front of me, because I can't help you to optimize your fertility health if I don't understand where we're starting from. So, knowing your cycle length and if it's regular or irregular. Now, in the medical community, the menstrual cycle is known loosely as the 5th vital sign. The vital signs that are recognized right now are heart rate and blood pressure, things like that. You're always getting those checked when you're going into an appointment. Us doctors always are checking on those just really basic pieces of information that if they are out of range, above, or low, we know that we have got to do that extra investigation to understand why. Why is this person's blood sugar? Why is this person's heart rate really elevated at today's office visit? Because it's not in the normal range. And I need to do that investigation to make sure that there's nothing serious that's causing it to be out of range. Maybe they just were running into the office out of the parking lot and okay, sure, just for this couple minutes, it's out of range. But it is my job to investigate that. So the menstrual cycle being the 5th vital sign, that's really important information for yourself and for your doctor to understand different hormones inside the body, to understand what your body is trying to tell you that it needs in order to get to a regular cycle. So how do you do that? First, you could just look back And if you know when you started your last menstrual cycle, now day number 1 is the first day of bleeding. Even if you have spotting in your cycle, that's going to be day 1. So that's easiest to just think back to your most recent cycle. You put that day on your calendar as day 1. And then when you start bleeding the next time, that's day 1 of your following cycle. And you count those days in between, and that tells you how long your cycle is. Now, this is information gathering at this moment. So we want to know, is your cycle regular? Are you regularly 28 days? Are you regularly 63 days? Are you regularly 23 days? That's really important information to have. And then second, we want to know, is it actually irregular? Do you have one 60-day cycle? Do you have one 20-day cycle? Do you have one 85-day cycle? Do you only have one cycle a year? Now, that's really common for people who come in to talk with me who want to get pregnant, is that they haven't had a cycle in a year, or they only bleed when they're on a medicated cycle. And that's okay. That is the information that we have about your body. And that's really important to have, because once you have that information, then you can move forward with a fertility plan that's effective for your body to help get your body back into regular rhythm. Checklist item number 3 is, I know which PCOS type or types that I have, and I have a plan that's specific to my PCOS types. So I mentioned a couple minutes ago how important it is to get an individualized plan for PCOS, because PCOS does not fit into the one-size-fits-all fertility plans. And figuring out your PCOS type is key to getting that individualized plan. So there are 4 PCOS types. I actually have podcast episodes specifically on each type. So there are 4 episodes that cover each of the PCOS types. But for today's purpose, just for this checklist, I want you to know how important it is to understand your PCOS type. And here's one important key takeaway, is that it doesn't matter how many or how few of the types you have. It just matters that you get it figured out. Because your body is trying to tell you something. Your body is wise, and the symptoms that you're experiencing is what your body is trying to alert you about, to say, hey, I'm deficient in this area. I don't have enough support here, and I really need help. And this is a sign that's saying, alert, alert, can you please help me here? And those are the PCOS types. And so once you know which type you have or types, then you move forward with a plan that addresses what's coming up in your body. So like I said, I have got this information in front of me with everyone that I'm working with. When I'm working with someone one-on-one, this is in every one of the chart notes. And I see that there. Okay, these are their PCOS types. And this, they're listed kind of in order of how big they're showing up in the body. And, sometimes one type, it's like, maybe that's part of your picture. Let's keep it down at the bottom. And then, we work through the protocol, work on addressing those really big key PCOS types. And then we need something to just get you over the edge. It's like, okay, well then let's address this PCOS type that wasn't really strong for your picture, but it's just that much more information that we need to support your body with. That's the power of these PCOS types. Without knowing your PCOS type, you're just flinging spaghetti at the wall, just hoping that your fertility plan is going to work. You want concrete information about what your body is telling you that's keeping it from getting pregnant. Now, these PCOS types, some of them, like say adrenal PCOS, they don't seem like they would be instantly connected with fertility when you first start talking about them. But that's the power. We've got to understand these different systems. Now, adrenal PCOS is all about, your stress systems and how that's impacting fertility. And so we've got to understand this holistic view of the body and how these different systems are impacting your ovaries, how they're impacting your reproductive hormones. Because we can't just isolate fertility hormones or your reproductive organs. That's completely missing the point, particularly with PCOS. Because PCOS is a syndrome made up of multiple different symptoms to create the PCOS syndrome. And you have got to take that step to understand what is creating those symptoms, what is impacting your fertility from these other systems. And that's when you do that, that is when things open up for you. And that is really exciting. When you step off of that conveyor belt, let's fit you into a box kind of fertility plan, that's when things open up. So those are the top 3 items on this checklist that I wanted to talk with you about today. And I want you to get your copy of the checklist. And I want to talk about a couple other things that you're going to find in this download. So I have included 2 full pages for lab tests. So you are going to look through a comprehensive list of fertility labs for you. We're talking hormones, antibodies, blood sugar, gut, nutrition, toxins. We have got all of these different labs written down for you. On the following page, you are going to find a complete set of labs for your husband, because the guy is 50% of this equation, right? And in fact, even on your checklist, 2 out of the 10 items to check off are about your husband's health. And is he getting certain things tracked for his fertility? Because if we are talking all about your hormones and your egg quality to make sure the DNA in your body is producing these beautiful eggs that are ready to go out and ovulate and connect with that sperm, we've got to be talking about the DNA that's in that sperm too. Because it very well could be coming from the sperm, but the sperm doesn't have those building blocks in place that allow it to connect with the egg and implant. And even if a standard sperm analysis has been done and it's been shown all clear, there are other parameters that need to be checked to make sure that sperm is doing exactly what it's supposed to be doing in order to go connect with the egg. So that's why I have included a full list of comprehensive fertility testing for the guys. Okay? So you'll want to download this checklist and then talk through it with your husband. And this checklist is one really important step in the fertility journey. But I also am not going to leave you hanging. So I have included as well, if you have missing links in this checklist and your doctor is not helping you to understand this, global view of your health and what's keeping you from getting pregnant, then I am including the most important next step that you need to take in order to have the best chance at getting pregnant with PCOS. So I outline that for you here in this free download. And then you're also going to get a copy of my PCOS fertility protocol so you can see all the steps that can be taken and addressed in your body to help open up fertility. And that, when I share this with women, is like a breath of fresh air, because it's a path forward that addresses all of these different areas. And so if you're feeling like something is missing, you are going to feel like that breath of fresh air when you look through the PCOS fertility protocol, because I developed it over years of working with patients and what needs to happen on this fertility process in order to open up that very best chance of getting pregnant with PCOS. And you don't want to miss out on any one of these steps, because if you do, then you've got missing links in your fertility plan that are keeping you from getting pregnant. So this PCOS fertility checklist is one of the most important things that you can get your hands on today that's going to help your fertility the most. And so I'm super happy to have walked through the top 3 items on this checklist for you today. And if you have questions about the other 7, then I want you to reach out to me and let's talk, because I'm here for you. The only reason that I'm here on this podcast is for you, to help get you this information that's going to help catapult your fertility forward in a really positive, amazing way. Because even if you feel like you've tried everything, I promise you, there is a missing link out there that you can find that's going to help you unlock what your body needs for optimal fertility. And if nobody has told you this today, I want to be the one to tell you that I believe in you. And I believe in your ability to improve your chances of getting pregnant with PCOS. So go get your free checklist, and I will see you right back here next Wednesday.